Lunar New Year celebrations continue in China and around the world. Hello, I'm Harlan and this is The Heat. Billions of people around the world have begun their 15-day celebration of the Lunar New Year. This year's annual gathering of family and friends celebrates the year of the Loong. CGTN's Senzhuan has more from Beijing.
It's quite busy here in Sanlitun. While I'm standing here, you can hear loud festival music playing, as well as kids are running around. It's definitely decorated and a festive vibe here at Sanlitun, a major shopping spot for the locals here in the Chinese capital. Meanwhile, other activities include temple fairs, garden tours, as well as lantern fairs are organized across the Chinese capital. Some of the fairs are actually organized in tourist spots such as the Temple of the Earth, as well as Loong Lake. This year is pretty special because the fair has returned to its full capacity, so lots of people are on the road here. So definitely people are shopping. According to Ministry of Commerce, the sales at local supermarkets as well as major supermarkets and malls have increased around 20% across the country. Meanwhile, dining services as well as sales on e-commerce platform for delivery and dining have also increased 40.8%. So a lot of consumption being made. Meanwhile, I also want to share with you, movies is definitely ahead during the holiday as people return home and also spend a lot of time with their families. So a movie has always been a choice. We're seeing a lot of consumption being made here. Meanwhile, I also want to share with you, so on the first day of the New Year, people actually chose to stay home. We're seeing the low point of the travel across the country, but the travel volume has already increased. Yesterday, which means the first day of New Year, 5.5 million people have traveled during the first day of New Year. So this is what we're seeing here on the ground. People are actually traveling, spending time with their family, and definitely enjoying the holiday here.
That was CGTN's Senzhuan reporting from Beijing. Well, there is much to talk about. Let's get to our panel. Gabriel Yin Yue is a CGTN correspondent in Beijing. Harlan Wong is the director of San Francisco's Chinese New Year Festival and Parade and a board member of that city's Chinese Chamber of Commerce. Also with us right here in the studio is CGTN's Gerald Tan. He hosted the award-winning series Tso'l Food, an American journey through the Chinese kitchen. And Changhua is the China director of the office of Jeremy Rifkin in Beijing. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. Changhua, as we saw at the end of that report, this holiday sets off the biggest human migration on the planet. Millions of people will be heading home for these Lunar New Year celebrations. Now, you used to live in the United States. You're now back in China. That's where you live now. How will you be celebrating the New Year?
Thank you for having me, and Happy New Year, Anand. And reunion with the family is always the biggest thing, particularly for our family, because we sort of scattered between China and the US. It was very rare for us to come back to spend time with our parents, in-laws every year. So this year is unique, and I definitely was one of the people on road during those few days, actually, the New Year's Day and the New Year's Eve as well. And I am now celebrating the New Year's with my in-laws in Dalian. I'm not in Beijing. And this is really for many years the first time for my in-laws family to gather every member of the family here. And so it's really enjoying, everyone is enjoying the time with parents and grandparents. My son, actually, who is studying at Columbia University, also returned. So he's here with us as well. So yeah, it's eating, dining, chatting, enjoy the movie shows and the TV programs, and mostly really enjoying the time together. That's the most precious thing for this family at this moment.
Right, sounds like a great time. Changhua, the last year of the Wood Dragon was in 1964. That's 60 years ago. It was so long ago, even I can remember that. It was also the year 1964 when the Beatles stormed the United States. It was a long time ago, but now we've got the year of the Wood Dragon. It's back. What does that mean for you?
Well, interestingly enough, my son is a Loong, and so he was born in the year 2000. So you could tell this family cares really particular about the Loong, the year of Loong, the Chinese zodiac here. In Chinese tradition, the custom, and so Loong is one of the 12 Chinese zodiac signs. And it's the only one actually that's sort of mythical, because all the other 11 animals actually you have them real life. A dragon is the only exception. So dragon has been given to many meanings, symbols in this country, in this culture, good luck and vigor, strength, ambition, charm, good fortune, everything actually wonderful, good. Pretty much embedded and loaded into this zodiac sign. And so for this year around, I think that's very important for this country this year after the few years of struggle of the COVID, and now the life and economy, society, everything actually coming together. So more than ever, this year is very significant, pretty much marking a new beginning, a new era for this country.
Okay, let's go to our correspondent in Beijing, Gabriel. Gabriel, great to see you. Now, you moved back to China 2 years ago. You used to live in the United States as well, and then you moved back. I want to play a short excerpt from something you did last year. Let's watch.
We put up something that's red and festive, and we got us some new house plants. For example, this is my mom's new favorite thing in the house, and usually I'm not allowed to get this near, but today she will make an exception. And here's my mom taking care of our new house plants. Say hi.
Hi, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, Happy New Year, and thank you very much for this. So this is something that parents always do on Chinese New Year's, that they give red envelope of cash to their kids, hoping that this cash would disperse all the bad spirits.
So that was the last time we spoke to you about the Lunar New Year, but this is this year. Are you celebrating again with family, and did you get another red envelope?
Yes, Anand, thank you for having me, and Happy New Year. Yes, I did celebrate with my family, and I did get a new red envelope. I would every year from my family. And funnily enough, as I was looking at that clip, we did basically exactly the same house decoration this year. We got exactly the same house plant, and it's still my mom's favorite thing in the house, and I'm still not allowed to get near it, as my mom would assume that I will mess it around in some way. So pretty much the same every year. But it's actually the tradition, right, with this festival, is that we don't do a lot of new and completely innovative things every year. It's about sticking to tradition. So this year we're basically doing the same house decoration. We're doing an exhaustive house cleaning, hoping that it would dust away the old and welcoming the new. But something different this year is that we actually got a lot of red clothes for my mom, because she was born in the year of the dragon, the year of Loong, which is the Chinese version of dragon. And the tradition is that every time when it rotates back to someone's Chinese zodiac year, that person should wear a lot of red for luck. And I was born in the year of the snake, which is next year. So next year you'll also be seeing me wearing a lot of red.
Right, and here's Gerald Tan in the studio. Gerald, you are all decked out in red, I see.
I take every opportunity to.
Okay, now Gerald, you are also our food guru. You're going to take us through some of the traditional holiday cuisine. Let's start with dumplings.
Dumplings, oh gosh, where do I begin, Anand? Dumpling is life. It's so much more than just seasoned meat and vegetables, nestled inside this flour dough. Dumplings in Chinese culture, they represent abundance, prosperity, wealth. In fact, if you look at the shape of it, it looks like a bit of a half moon, and that emulates the gold and silver ingots of ancient times. In fact, the name for dumplings in Mandarin, 饺子, it actually comes from the word 饺子, which is a note, a paper note. It started in the 11th century. It was, historians call it one of the oldest printed money of all time. So the name of dumplings actually comes from the name of note. But it's so much more than just the shape. I think what makes dumplings so important in the new year, as we talked about with your guest, Changhua even said earlier, it's about coming together, sharing stories, eating together. And dumpling making is so communal. You sit around, you are rolling out the dough, you're stuffing it, you're shaping it, and while you're doing it, you're just sharing stories, catching up. It's about reunion here. And so that act coming together is so important. And different families will also try to, really emphasize this whole idea of wealth and abundance by tinging the flour dough yellow so it looks gold. They might even do it with an egg, and so it comes out that way. And my favorite part is that imagine making hundreds of dumplings and you slip a gold coin in one of them. And when it comes time to eating them, the person who gets that lucky dumpling is blessed with a really good year ahead. So that's one of my favorite traditions with dumplings.
Sounds great. Well, we will talk more about food in a moment. But first, here in the United States, San Francisco's Chinatown is the largest outside Asia and the oldest in North America. CGTN's Mark New takes us behind the scenes as people gathered over the weekend for a New Year's celebration.
I'm here in Portsmouth Square, which is really the heart of Chinatown. You can see how people are gathering here for a special ceremony. And in fact, this particular event is called Choisun Do, which is the day where the Choisun gods will hand out their blessings. You can see they're all getting dressed up here. And what they will do is come around with the hongbao, or the red packets, and hand them out to people, largely symbolic for good luck in the coming year. And of course, our star of the show is the dragon. You can see the blessing of the dragon happening. This is sort of the awakening of the dragon. This part of the performance put on by the White Crane School of Kung Fu. Very important here for the dragon, which again is the star of the show and bringing a lot of excitement to this particular event and for the year. What's your role in this?
I'm going to be carrying the dragon's tail, and just super excited to do it. I'm obviously not of Chinese descent, and it's really, really fun to be included in this sort of very important ceremony, and I don't take it for granted whatsoever. This is a great, enriching experience.
We're here today because I learned that they're going to awaken the dragon, and it's just a very exciting moment. So yeah, I'm just really happy to be here and be a part of this.
And all kinds of official dignitaries will be speaking here today, including the mayor of San Francisco, London Breed, as well as city officials and local community officials, all talking about the spirits of bringing together this community. A big part of this event is having people come out so that they can support businesses, because over these next few weeks, actually 30% of the total business of Chinatown will happen here as people come for the Chinese New Year.
Since the pandemic is picking up, but still not up to the past. It's still room for growth.
But your hope for the Year of the Dragon, what do you think?
Yes. Oh well, the Year of the Dragon, as we all know, is a powerful, is wise, and as we all know, this year is a year. Not only is a Year of the Dragon, it's a year of the wood dragon, and wood symbol associate with trees, the color green. So looking for a new beginning, and a prosperous beginning.
The blessings, the wishes for good fortune, and all the celebrations here in Chinatown will continue for the next 2 weeks, when it all culminates in the San Francisco Chinese New Year Parade, the largest of its kind outside of Asia. Mark New, CGTN, San Francisco.
Okay, time now to welcome Harlan Wong in person to the show. Harlan, as we said earlier, San Francisco's Chinatown is the oldest Chinatown outside of Asia. And since 1953, the Chinese Chamber of Commerce, as we said, you're a board member of the chamber, they've organized the China New Year Festival and Parade. I mean, it's no easy thing organizing this. How do you do it, and to what extent do you innovate every year? And as we saw, there's diversity in what you do as well. So how do you bring in new attractions?
Well, thank you, Anna, for having me on the show. So basically, as you mentioned, this is a really effort of a lot of people. It takes a whole team. I have a committee of about maybe 12 people. And of course, we have volunteers. We have parade marshals in the hundreds to help us run the parade. as I mentioned in the video, this is the year of the dragon and the year of the wood dragon. Wood, 1% associated with trees in the color green. So for this year, we will have a hope that we have a new growth and a new beginning. Chinese Chamber of Commerce, for the year of the dragon, we order a new dragon for our parade, and that's why we have this blessing of the dragon at Postman Square. That's the event that Mark showed at the clip of me at the Postman Square. Postman Square is considered the living room of Chinatown, and that's where a lot of the community events, a lot of happenings took place. Each year we try to add something new, and we try to get the younger generation to be involved. And that's why for our Grand Marshal for the parade this year, we have Aquafina. I am sure we are all aware this is a Golden Globe Best Actress winner for the her movie Farewell. And she was involved with many popular Hollywood productions. For example, Crazy Rich Asian, and the Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. Recently, she's gonna be involved with she's gonna be voicing 2 animations. One is the migration. Funny thing is the migration, because as we all know, China during the Chinese New Year is the largest migration. It's known as the migration.
I want to
people going back to their home.
I want to ask Changhua Wu about the migration that you talk about. Changhua Wu, the number of people traveling during the Lunar New Year, I mean, the numbers are absolutely astonishing. I mean, if we just look what happened over the past few days, there were 195 million trips on Lunar New Year's Eve. That's up 26% from the previous year, from last year. And as we heard our reporter tell us in her report, celebratory fairs are back to full capacity. We have that TV special. It's one of the highlights in China, the Spring Festival Gala, which will be seen by an audience estimated at 1.7 billion people. Is this the post-pandemic surge that we're seeing?
I think pretty much so. I think the life has finally come back to normal. And I guess actually, if you look at all the numbers and the number of people traveling, the reunion, not only with families, but with the relatives, the friends, and the way people celebrate, right? We enjoy the food, enjoy everything possible. That's pretty much a sort of represents a sort of a release, unleash this sort of, COVID pandemic, this mental, physical sort of pressure there. Yes, I think all the numbers are pointed to the direction that finally things are coming back to normal. And besides all the things we're talking about here, there were a lot of fireworks, firecrackers, and being here in Dalian in the last few days, literally every day, every night, actually, fireworks surrounded the hotel I'm living now at this moment. Everything, every direction you look at, pretty much tell you the celebratory sort of mood in the society. People really want to enjoy life.
Gabriel, as I was saying earlier on, you are now back in China. You used to live in the United States. And when you celebrate the Lunar New Year, are there some kinds of traditions that you follow back in China that you wouldn't necessarily do here in the United States?
Well, I do all variations everywhere, same as when I used to live in Brazil. But I would say like the celebrations are all sort of the same in different ways. Like when I was back in the States during Spring Festival, what I would do is just gather my friends in my apartment and we'd cook and we had really nice dinner. It was like we were forming our own little bubble with a lot of more intimacy, because otherwise it would just be a normal day in the States. So that was like very interesting because we had our little world in it. But when I was back in Beijing, it was like a sea of festivity everywhere. It would be hard to encounter someone who's not in a celebratory mood here. But the funny thing is that in China, every region has their own little tradition, own little things they do. that to people not from that region could be very interesting. So I was also learning about something new. But I think it all comes back to that saying about beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, because it's the cultural meanings that we assign to every detail in the celebration that makes this celebration or makes the Chinese Spring Festival very unique, regardless of my, where I am.
Gerald, let's get back to food. Let's talk about noodles.
Just what Gabriel said really brought me to what I'm about to say as well, because earlier we're talking about dumplings, and dumplings represent wealth, the shape of it. Now, take again the shape of noodles, these long strands, well, they represent a long life, longevity. So one, prosperity, longevity, and as we know in Chinese culture, Anand, the older you are, the more venerated you become. So the elders are always really respected, and so wishes for a long life, that's very common in all celebrations, birthdays, weddings, also the Lunar New Year. Now, a really important dish during the Lunar New Year table, I would say, is what they call the longevity noodles. And here's where kind of all the disagreement begin, because depending on the region you're from, longevity noodles could mean something really different. If you're in Sichuan, you might serve ban dan mian, which is the noodles with minced pork and pickled cabbage and robed in the sauce with prickling Sichuan peppercorns. If you are in Xi'an, you might actually be eating biang biang mian. Biang biang mian's become really popular globally because it's the one that's stretched and they bang the noodles on the table, and that sound it makes biang biang, it's a really lovely onomatopoeia for that sense. Or if you're in the south, you might have egg noodles. And so really, there is no one prescribed recipe for what longevity noodles are. But in my family, I try to cover all the bases. So I serve egg noodles, wheat noodles, rice noodles, and so, everyone's going to have a really good long life.
You keep the arguments down. Yeah. Harlan, Wong, you are in San Francisco. How important is it for the younger generation, many of whom, of course, would have been born in the United States, and they interact with local cultures? So how can something like the parade, the celebration at this time, help young people to maintain traditions?
But basically, again, we try to keep up a parade to showcase our Chinese culture. We have, lion dance and Chinese dance performing groups. We try to engage the youth to be more involved. And that's where Aquafina really come in and help us to promote our event to the younger generation. And through social media, we were able to reach out to all the young people to get them to be more involved. Our parade marshals, we try to recruit from the younger generation so that more younger people will become in to help. Our social media reach went up quite a bit because of Aquafina. We went up about 10 times from 30,000 to hundreds of thousands of people. So we're able to reach a lot of the younger generation through social media.
Changhua Wu, this Lunar New Year celebration is not something that is confined to China. It's a 15-day celebration, but it's celebrated all across Asia. What can you tell us about celebrations across the continent?
Well, I think, fundamentally, some of the basics are pretty much shared because it's connected culturally. It's born from this part of the planet. But in the meantime, of course, when it gets down to different locations there, probably people have a little bit of variations there in terms of what food to eat, what kind of decorations they would put up. And also, more importantly, some of them probably will be embedded with the local culture, mixed with the local culture there as well. Not only China, if you look at Korea, South Korea, North Korea, if you look at Japan, if you look at, Southeast Asia, I think that further enriches the diversity of food cuisines. Beside the dumplings, noodles we're talking about here today, you see more diversity, more rich sort of food actually on the table. But fundamentally, it is a reunion time of family and paying respect for our seniors, grandparents, parents, and senior relatives there. So there are rituals actually pretty much played out during the period of this up to 2 weeks there. Almost every day, you have these rituals actually to show respect while enjoying the life and the culture and the reunion with your families and beloved ones.
Gabriel, what is your sense of the year ahead? I mean, do you think people are now prepared to get past the pandemic that we had, the COVID pandemic, and now embrace the dragon?
Well, we've seen in the report how many people are traveling this Spring Festival. So I would probably say yes, people are ready for the new beginning, the long-awaited new beginning. But I would also say that it does feel good to celebrate New Year twice a year. We have the January the 1st, and then we have the Spring Festival. It's always good to have something that kicks off some new ambitions. But on a more serious note, I think, yes, people are ready for a new year of ambition, a new year of personal growth. And we've seen that in the Spring Festival discussions as well. People are making new wishes and they're making their New Year's resolutions in a more serious way, in a more pragmatic way. So I think that's what New Year's is all about, right? It's about making new plans. It's about sort of having new plans. And we also know that, the dragon means a lot of very auspicious and very ambitious things. It's the only animal in Chinese mythology, and it means very strong power, right? So all of that kicks in and just, give people a lot of things to wish for.
Right, Gerald, once more into the kitchen, this time rice cakes and tea.
As Gabriel talked about, we're coming off the pandemic. The sticky rice cake really is, we call it nian gao, and it really symbolizes that because it's meant to say, getting higher year after year. So it's sort of like aspiring for something better. But my favorite story about the sticky rice cake, the nian gao, is that it's actually really seen more as a bribe to the kitchen gods. Every year, the kitchen gods are believed to take a report back up to the Jade Emperor. And so what you do is you feed the god with something really sticky so the mouth can't really move. And so they're just giving a really sweet, good report to the Jade Emperor. And tea, tea is not specifically special for Chinese New Year, but this year being the year of the Loong, there's of course Longjing tea, one of the top 10 most famous teas in China. They call it the Queen of Green Tea. It's a beautiful, fragrant tea that's very chestnut in flavor. And where it comes from, in Zhejiang province, in Longjing, they still make artisans, they stir fry it by hand in woks. And so I've been drinking a lot of it this Lunar New Year, and I'm serving it as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to all of you for being with us on this show, and Happy New Year to everyone. That's it for this edition of The Heat. I'm Anand Naidu in Washington, D.C.